Welcome to the Two Blokes Chatting radio show on 94.7 The Pulse. Music, interviews, news, and, well, Two Blokes Chatting. Now, here are the two blokes.
'Cause I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. Across the deserts bare, man. I've breathed the mountain air, man. I've travelled, I've had my share, man. I've been everywhere. Been to Tullamore, Seymour, Lismore, Mooloolaba, Nambour, Roochdore, Kilmore, Marillaba, Birdsville, Emmaville, Wallaville, Connemara, Connemara, Strathround, Proserpine, Alladala, Darwin, Gingin, Lillaquen, Muckdilla, Wallamilla, Bougainville, Cumberland, Ramakilla. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. Across the deserts bare, man.
Yes, I did say it was 11:15 here in the town of Geelong, because where we're going now, it ain't 11:15, it's 8:15. We've dragged this bloke out of bed, metaphorically speaking. Ian Dunstan, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, Neil. Good morning, Rob. You got me out of bed, but it's a beautiful morning. I'm actually in Perth at the minute, so
Yep.
We will talk about Cal, of course. But, yeah, beautiful morning in Perth, as it generally always is.
I was going to say, do we pretend that we're in Kalgoorlie? Because I'm convinced on the radio, you hear Sally Brown at Melbourne Airport for Channel 9, and you go, no, you're not. You're actually in the studio in the warm. We all know that. So, no, we're talking to Ian Dunstan in Kalgoorlie this morning. Great to have connectivity with that town, or Kalgoorlie-Boulder, as you correctly pointed out to me the other day.
Yes, now the twin city of Kalgoorlie-Boulder. The Boulder people get a little narky if Boulder's not mentioned in the name, so I made that mistake many years ago. So forever now, the city of Kalgoorlie-Boulder she is.
Ian, one of my favourite parts of conversationalism is finding a common bond. It took us about 7 seconds. Former Geelong footballer, number 34, played back in the early days of Gary Ablett, is mine host at the Kalgoorlie Hotel. We spent a happy time with him 3 years. Actually, it's 3 years ago this week, because yesterday on my Facebook page we were at the Corey Enright Oval at Kimber on our way across there. So we would have been actually 3 years ago today in the Kalgoorlie pub. A good fellow, great memories of him, his time playing footy, but also being a big part of the Drysdale community in Geelong. So those who remember him, he's over there and doing a good job.
We probably would remember him if you told him his name.
Craig Alderdice. Didn't I mention his name?
No, you gave us his number, but you didn't actually tell who it was.
Well, that's who it is, Craig Alderdice.
Thanks very much, it helps.
No, he actually served me a pint of beer last Sunday night, so he's still doing the same gig. Very quiet man, Craig, as you mentioned. Obviously, you were strolling the same forward line as Ablett and Brownless and Stoneham and those great people back in the day, but to get that sort of information out of Craig, you really have to dig. He coached our footy club for a couple of years, Railways Footy Club in Kalgoorlie, in 15 and 16. Took us to a grand final, which sadly we didn't win, but yeah, he's still a big man, big in stature, and serves a mighty fine cold beer at the Kalgoorlie Hotel.
Now, we should ask this question because I think you might know the answer. Ian, who won the premiership in the Kalgoorlie League this year?
Oh, I can answer that in absolute flash. It's my beloved Railways Footy Club. We won our 34th flag only a few weeks ago against the Boulder City Footy Club, and very proud moment. My first year as president of the club, been around the place for 30-odd years, and lucky enough to see 8 league flags for my beloved club. But it was a beautiful Saturday afternoon there a few weeks back, 14-point victory, and still glowing and humming from it, gents, let me tell you.
I've been to Broken Hill. They got 4 teams, north, south, east, west. Is it a bit like that at Kalgoorlie, or you'd have some long drives to the opposition? Yeah,
we've only got the 5, so we've got 2 in Boulder, 2 in Cal, and we've got Campbelder, which is about 55 k's down the road. So we don't have the long road trips as others do have. I mean, once upon a time, Norseman was in the competition, which is 200 k's south. But, just the 5 at the moment, but certainly very competitive footy amongst all 4 and 5 clubs.
Now, the reason that you and I connected, watch me do a shameless plug here, Rob, is as part of the Regional 250 podcast. You are episode 71, coming out in the middle of November. The whole purpose of that, and this segment as well, is to learn a little bit about the town, the city, the region. A lot of people would have heard of Kalgoorlie, and they would have thought it's just in the middle of nowhere, but there's a bit more to it than that.
Oh, no, it is in the middle of nowhere.
Yes, but true, but there is a bit more to it than that.
Oh, no, there certainly is. Yeah, we're just under 30,000 people. Esperance is 400 k's to the south, which is the most beautiful beaches going around here in WA, and obviously Perth is 600 k's to the east. Gold mining town, and I've seen the Caulfield Guineas today, the favourites Golden Mile, so I'll be having a dabble on that just from a sentimental point of view, because the Golden Mile is the complete fabric for why Kalgoorlie-Boulder exists. The amount of gold they've pulled out of that stretch of turf has been amazing, and they continue to do so. And consequently, since 1893, Kalgoorlie-Boulder has been probably one of the gold mining capitals of Australia, if not Western Australia.
Yes, we one of the key things that many people who Rob said earlier that he's been to Cal. I actually lived in Cal for 6 or 8 weeks in 1998, helping a business get set up. It's not very often that the main tourist attraction in town is a big hole in the ground.
she's a mighty big hole. Yeah, she's massive. The super pit. Obviously, mining used to be down the shaft, and away they go. They'll dig and blast and whatnot, and then. I think it was in the late 80s, early 90s, they discovered, how about we just dig a big hole, and they created this massive hole called the super pit, and the amount of gold that they extract out of that operation runs 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, and it's the heartbeat of why we live in a beautiful place of the city of Kalgoorlie-Boulder.
Just to get context, I think the measurements that Craig gave me was 2 kilometres wide, 1.5 kilometres deep. Is that something like what it is?
Yeah. Absolutely, and probably in the time since you saw Craig, she's probably a bit larger, wider and deeper, so like a lot of us.
That's right. No depth in this program, mate. Plenty of wide and height.
Now, there's 2 other parts about your town that there's a bit of mischief attached. One we all knew about was the street named, the street name through the middle of the town that the police also shared the address, and I think it's true that the town changed the name so the police station wasn't in the same street as the houses of ill repute. Is that correct?
Yeah, no, that is absolutely correct. So yeah, Hay Street is what you're talking about, and where the police station is, which is just up the road from the houses of ill repute, which sadly don't operate anymore. They're just a tourist attraction. What I say sadly for those that need to go there.
Yes.
It's just a tourist attraction now. And the police station's on Brookman Street. So, you leave Brookman Street, go around a roundabout, and you're in famous Hay Street, which, obviously Kalgoorlie is famous for, well, probably at the time, numerous brothels. In my time in Kalgoorlie since 93, there was 4 down to 3. And, as I said, now they're just tourist attractions. And
the other thing that really caught my eye, Craig chucked us in his car and went for a drive out to the 2-Up parlour, which is out in the middle of nowhere. And it just looks like a real fun place that would come to life on maybe a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, sure does. The MCG of 2-Up, it is commonly known. It's, probably the very rickety tinge. Actually, I've got wedding photos there, just, to capture the moment with the sun going down. It was really good with my pretty bride, so it was good many, many years ago. But, gee whiz, if you counted every $50 note or every $20 note that's been exchanged in that little establishment over near on 100 years, yeah, you'd be doing well to get to the count of it.
And I noticed he pointed out you've got a bit classy recently, as you mentioned. You take the good lady wife out, obviously a few other women getting there. They've put in some rather elaborate toilet systems to back up the original system that was there.
Yeah, another hole in the ground.
And back up is an unfortunate choice of words in the context.
No, these are the sort of things, if you ever go there or you've been and want to go back again to Kalgoorlie, these little pearls, I reckon they are, of the history of the town and what the different life is. I mean, people who go there clearly to work in the mines is the major reason, and lifestyle is something you're looking for when you're not at work, and there's plenty of different things to do there, without doubt.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, we've got great hotel establishments, as we mentioned. We mentioned one, the Kalgoorlie Hotel, but wining and dining is something which is very popular to do. Obviously, sport is huge in Kalgoorlie from a historical point of view, but also from the current day. We've just finished our race round, which I suppose for your listeners is a little bit like Warrnambool, probably a little scaled down version of Warrnambool. We have a couple of race meetings within a few days, and then every other event in the world that can be partitioned around that. So my liver and kidneys were about to divorce me last week, but thankfully we're back on talking terms. And obviously the horse racing itself is something which is pretty good. But yeah, we've got all the sports, your footies and crickets and basketballs. And back in the day, we had, even things like diving and baseball. And yeah, our sporting history was very interesting listening to John Craven, who you were talking to before me, and obviously the history of sport in Geelong. I could really feel in my kind of way that, he was almost kind of talking about how I talk about Kalgoorlie-Boulder with, the history of sport and people that have gone on and done bigger and better things. It's a place that we're very proud of, and people that have come out of Kalgoorlie-Boulder and done really good things. Like for Collingwood supporters, just look away now, but Dominic Sheed, the number 4 for the West Coast Eagles from Kalgoorlie-Boulder, kicked that winning goal in the 2018 grand final final, which
Good on you, Dom.
sent the state of Western Australia into absolute madness. But again, someone very proud that we call someone one of our own from Kalgoorlie-Boulder.
And the other thing that I remember from my time there was there's a lot of red dirt out there, except at the aforementioned racecourse, which is perfectly green. A fair few dollars gets pumped into the watering system, I suspect.
Yeah, well, luckily a guy called C.Y. O'Connor put a pipeline in from Mundaring Weir to Kalgoorlie-Boulder in the early 1900s, and that's the saviour of Kalgoorlie. Without water, we wouldn't exist. But yeah, that racecourse is unbelievable, beautiful green turf, and for those that would have been following the races last week, was a standalone meeting in Western Australia, and I hope the track came up really, really good. It's nice and green, and with the red dirt and red backdrops, which is famous for Kalgoorlie. Put it this way, the old days where we used to pray about getting the Adidas Roams from Mum and Dad, used to beg and borrow and steal to get those famous shoes. You don't wear them in Cal, they'll end up a different colour very, very quickly.
And as you pointed out to me when we were chatting during the week, the likelihood of shark bite is remote.
Yeah, very, very remote. So it's one form of death that any of us in Cal is fairly likely to not experience.
That and drowning in the surf.
Yeah.
Hey, Ian, I want to get my head around a new group of miners come into town, and there's 5 footy clubs. Have you got spies inside the mining companies that do a bit of a CV search on any prospective recruits?
Oh, of course. The recruiting manager isn't recruiting a Sparky or a tradie. Firstly looks at their age, looks at their profile, and asks them, do they play footy? If they say yes, but man, that guy's almost got the job straight away. There's no ifs or buts about that. Yeah, big part of recruitment for all the sports, even the soccer clubs, the basketball and all that, whenever, someone new comes to town and someone's involved in recruitment, which there's plenty of that going on, and obviously there's thousands of jobs available in Kalgoorlie-Boulder. Not that we want people to leave the beautiful area of Geelong that you're celebrating that premiership you won a few weeks ago, that there's thousands of jobs available in the WA goldfields, so it can change your life, that's for sure.
And I've completely forgotten what I was going to say.
Well,
you're a Melbourne supporter, that's what I was going to say.
While you're thinking of, I was going to say, while you're thinking the question, the other thing that fascinates me about the mines, Craig was talking about his own daughter working there, I do believe. There's a lot of women working in the mines, and apparently they're much sought after because they a little bit more attention to detail, looking after machinery, a little safer, more reliable, if you like. So if any young girls in Geelong are listening around that want a career in mining, and there's more of them, and I know a couple myself, you're obviously open to that different type of staff.
Yeah, absolutely. No, there's a lot of females in the mining industry. I mean, one of the big mining companies was run by a lady only up until recently, till she moved on to bigger pastures. And I suppose that's probably one little myth about Kalgoorlie-Boulder. Everyone thinks it's a bloke's town and, it's hardy. The doors swing open of the Exchange Hotel and 2 blokes are fighting out on the street. Well, those days are probably long gone. We have a very even mix of girls and blokes and all sorts of different nationalities and communities, and everyone's welcome in Kalgoorlie-Boulder, and it's certainly not the dusty main street where the kangaroo delivers the mail, that's for sure.
Yeah, we had a chat to a lady from Lightning Ridge a while ago in this very segment, and we got the sense of a similarity with the town. Very multicultural, very much together, sharing each other's lives very easily, and I sense that in the short time I was in Cal, that you've got that. Boulder, sorry.
Yeah, Kalgoorlie-Boulder. Yeah, no, it's no different to a lot of those communities. I suppose that's how Australian life has become, and Kalgoorlie-Boulder is representative of that, that's for sure.
Ian, we are coming up to the 11 o'clock break, so we need to let you go. Thanks for getting up early and spending time. I know you went out to a party last night, so well done you for getting up and doing this at 7:45 your time. Looking forward to a cold beer at the Tower Hotel or the Kalgoorlie Hotel at some stage soon.
Yeah, or any old hotel. That'd be great.
There's one or two to choose from.
In regards to Craig.
Yeah, I shall do. Thanks for the opportunity. See you later.